Sorry about that. All right, since you have not heard from the beginning, let me start with the dua then. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Innal hamdalillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udzu billahi min shururi أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم رب اشرح لي صدري يسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير آمين يا رب العالمين. So we will begin with hadith number 145. وبه قال حدثنا عبد الله بن عبد الرحمن قال حدثنا عبيد الله بن عبد المجيد الحنفي حدثنا عبد الرحمن بن عبد الله بن دينار قال حدثنا أبو حازم عن سهل بن سعد رضي الله عنه وعنهم أنه قيل له أقل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم نقيا يعني الحواري فقال سهل ما رأى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم نقيا حتى لقي الله عز وجل تعالى فقيل له هل كانت لكم مناخل العهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So Sahal ibn Sa'd radiallahu anh said that he was asked, did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eat the finest flour? Naqiya is fine flour. And Sahal said, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not see the finest flour until he met Allah. Then he was asked, did you have sieves in the time of Allah's Messenger? And he said, we did not have sieves. He was asked, how did you treat barley? How did you treat barley? And he said we used to blow on it, so whatever flew would fly off, and we would knead it. Then we would knead it. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not see flour or eat bread made from fine flour during the whole duration of his life in this dunya. Such was their lifestyle. If there was food, he would eat whatever little there was, and if there was no food, he would fast. So he was not fussy about the bread that he had. And in fact, the ulama say that when you look at your food, you should not see whether you like it or not, but remember that Allah Ta'ala has provided this for you and has distributed this food for you. All right, now moving on to the next hadith. حدثنا محمد بن بشار قال حدثنا معاذ بن هشام قال حدثني أبي عن يونس عن قتادة عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه وعنهم قال ما أقل نبي الله ولا خوان ولا في سقرجة ولا خبز له مرقق قال فقلت لقتادة فعلى ما كانوا يأكلون قال هل على هذه السفر قال محمد بن بشار يونس هذا الذي روى عن قتادة هو يونس الإسقاف. So Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anh said that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not eat food on a table, nor in a bowl, and no bread rolled thin and flat was baked for him. I asked Qatada, so on what were they used to eat? He said, on these pieces of skin on which food for the journey is put. So khiwan refers to a small table on which one sits and eat food, and suqarrajatin is a small table as well. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never ate from a table or a small plate. Suqarrajatin is a small table, as well as sometimes it is referred to as a small plate. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not have this table or a plate. And when the Sahabi was asked what did they eat on, they used to eat on a sufra. Sufra is like a mat you lay on the floor, or like a dastarkhan we can call it in Urdu. And they used to eat on these mats. And that's why it is sunnah to eat while sitting on the floor, on the ground. It is permissible to eat on the table, but it is sunnah to eat on to sit on the floor and eat on the ground. However, exceptions for those who cannot sit on the floor, elderly people, it is absolutely fine. There is no karahat, but it is a sunnah that we should endeavor to follow at least sometimes, sitting down and eating. And the ulama say that the closer we are to the ground, the more humble we become. And it also distinguishes us from other cultures and communities. In other cultures, they stand and eat or sit on chairs, but we have a distinctive manner to sit on the ground. And this is closer to the sunnah. It's a humble position and it is distinctive about Islam. But of course, you're not sinful if you're eating on a table, but it is just one of those things that you do it out of love for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All right, next hadith. وَبِهِ قَالَ حَدَّثْنَا أَحْمَدُ بْنُ مُنَيٍّ قَالَ حَدَّثْنَا عَبَّادُ بْنُ عَبَّادِ الْمُحَلِّبِيُّ عن مجالد عن الشعبية عن مسروق قال دخلت على عائشة رضي الله عنها وعنهم فدعت لي بطعام وقالت ما أشبه من طعام فعشاه أن أبقي إلا بقيت قلت لما قالت أذكر الحال التي فارق عليها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الدنيا والله ما شبع من خبز ولحم مرتين في يوم. Masruq radiallahu anh said, I went to see Aisha radiallahu anha, so she ordered a meal for me. And she said, I did not eat my fill from a meal, for I feel like weeping if I have not wept. I said, why? She said, I remember the state in which Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam departed from this world. By Allah, he did not eat his fill of bread and meat twice in one day. So this is when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. And the food that was given to Amma Aisha radiallahu anha was so much that she would start crying. And if Rasulullah, because in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they never had enough food to eat their fill. If Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had lunch, he would not eat his full of bread and meat at dinner. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would never have lunch and dinner in the same day. And Amma Aisha is crying out of sorrow for the state that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam lived in. And she's crying on losing that higher maqam, that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was alive, this was the higher maqam she had, this higher maqam of qurb, of maqam of qurb. Qurb means proximity or intimacy with Allah. It was made possible due to the sohbat of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this was a sign of his intimacy. And we would take it exactly the opposite way. If we have lots of food and all the blessings, we think that he is closer to Allah and that Allah Ta'ala is very kind to him. But our mother, Aisha radiallahu anha, said that this was the maqam of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she wept because they had that intimacy with Allah, that proximity to Allah. They had such little food and they were very thankful, and they had this attitude of gratitude. And this crying could be a pinnacle of shukr for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving them so many blessings as well after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam departed this world. And this higher maqam, this higher standard, this comes in deen when we learn to let go and are not overly attached to the halal things, to the permissible things. When you get overly attached to even the permissible things, you become distant from Allah. And we should reserve our heart for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and remind our heart about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every so often. And this is the way to drive away malice and hatred and envy and love for the dunya, love for fame, is to remind yourself about Allah constantly. Your heart should be stuck in feelings of remembrance of Allah. And this is what in Tasawwuf they called wukufe kalbi. That even though you're engaged, apparently you're engaged with worldly activities, but your heart is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And only you know, other people around you are unaware of the fact that your heart is attached to Allah. You are doing some sort of zikr maybe, or you are remembering Allah in your heart. And this doesn't have to be made public or made apparent to others. This is something hidden between you and Allah. And we should always have some amal that are between just us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like we have sins between us and Allah that nobody knows and only Allah or we know about it. We should have some good deeds as well, some such amal as well that are just between us and Allah. Moving on to the next hadith. وَبِهِ قَالَ حَدَّثْنَا مَحْمُودُ بْنُ غَيْلَانَ. When we were doing this hadith, I remember our teacher specifically mentioned we all recited Mahmud, because we are used to saying Mahmud in Pakistan especially. It is Mahmud. حدثنا محمود بن غيلان قال حدثنا أبو داود قال حدثنا شعبة عن أبي إسحاق قال سمعت عبد الرحمن بن يزيد يحدث عن الأسود بن يزيد عن عائشة رضي الله عنها وعنهم قالت ما شبه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من خبز الشعير يومين متتابعين حتى قبض. Amma Aisha radiallahu anha said, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not eat his fill of barley bread for 2 days in a row until he died. And now the last hadith of this chapter. Hadasna Abdullah ibn Abdul Rahman, Qala Hadasna Abdullah ibn Amrin Abu Ma'marin, Hadasna Abdul Warisi, an Sayyid ibn Abi Urubata, an Qatadata, an Anas radiyallahu anhu anhum, Qala ma aqala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam ala khiwanin wala aqala khubzan muraqqaqan hatta mata. So Anas bin Malik radiallahu anh says, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not eat food on a table, and he did not eat bread rolled thin and flat until he died. So such was the simplicity of the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All right, now we come to the end of this chapter about the bread of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and now the next chapter is what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would eat with his bread, the condiments with his bread. Babu Maja fi idami Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what Rasulullah would eat with bread. حدثنا محمد بن وبه قال حدثنا محمد بن سهل بن أسقر وعبد الله بن عبد الرحمن قال حدثنا يحيى بن حسان قال حدثنا سليمان بن بلال عن هشام بن عروة عن أبيه عن عائشة رضي الله عنها وعنهم أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال نعم الإدام الخل. قال عبد الله ابن عبد الرحمن في حديثه نعم الإدام أو الأدم الخل. Aisha radiallahu anha said, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, what an excellent condiment vinegar is. Khallu is vinegar. And idam means a condiment. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very fond of vinegar. And this was the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he would not praise food or criticize it. But when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did praise the fruit, it was circumstantial. And there was an event or episode and Prophet ﷺ praised the food, and there is a deeper lesson in that. And there is a shan-e-nuzul for this hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to his family, and Amma Aisha was there, and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked for a curry. And the family replied that they did not have anything except for vinegar. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ate the bread with vinegar and continuously said, "Naimul idamul qallu." This praise was because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam felt that people may think that vinegar is not something to be eaten. So to dispel that thought, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam praised vinegar. And he kept on saying this and kept on enjoying eating bread with vinegar. And he also said this to bring pleasure to his wives. All the wives loved to serve food, and they loved Rasulullah. And this was all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the Ummahatul Mu'mineen radiyallahu anhuma would have felt bad when there was no curry in the house and that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had to eat vinegar. And to bring pleasure to their hearts, this was the emotional intelligence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that to bring pleasure to their hearts, he continuously praised them. Praised that vinegar is such an excellent condiment, so that it makes them happy. All right. Now moving on to the next hadith, which is also وبه قال حدثنا قتيبة قال حدثنا أبو الأحوص عن سماق بن حرب قال سمعت النعمان بن بشير رضي الله عنهم يقول ألستم في طعام وشراب ما شئتم لقد رأيت نبيكم صلى الله عليه وسلم وما يجد من الدقل ما يملأ بطنه. النعمان ibn Bashir radiallahu anh said, do you not have what you want in the way of food and drink? I have seen your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the poor quality dates. Dakali is poor quality dates that he finds are what fills his stomach. So such was the lifestyle of Rasulullah, that he would fill his stomach with dried dates. And dried dates are not one of the most amazing. This year in Ramadan, we usually go for Umrah before Ramadan, and we have dates from there which are really very sweet and delicious. And this time we didn't go, so we had to buy dates locally, and they're not as moist and as delicious, I think, as the ones we used to get from Saudi. And everybody, we eat more than one date at iftar time, but this time I'm noticing everybody's just eating a date, maybe two dates at the most, because they're a bit dry, they're not as soft and moist. So it is not one of the most amazing experience to have it. And can you imagine Rasulullah rahmatullah alameen sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would fill his stomach with dried dates. And this, in this hadith, the opening of this hadith, do you not have what you want in the way of food and drink? This was a rhetorical question asked by Numan radiallahu anh, directed this question to the Sahaba Karam. And it is a gentle way of criticizing that you are eating too much and eating in excess. Do you not all indulge in food and drink as much as you like? His aim was to encourage zuhad. Zuhad means abstinence, and to discourage overindulgence. So our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to eat low quality dates, and sometimes he could not even find those low quality dates with which to fill his stomach. So may Allah Ta'ala make us thankful and grateful for the food that we get and the amount of food that we eat, and we eat to our fill. Even though our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is against the Sunnah. Again, I'm saying it's not being sinful, but it is it's the Sunnah to overindulge in food so much. And especially when you go to Saudi Arabia, oh my God, goodness, their portions, if you go to a restaurant, their portions are so generous. that you just, I mean, an average person cannot eat all of that. So much food is wasted there. In fact, one of our teachers was mentioning that he went to Medina and he was eating in this restaurant, eating Arabic food in a restaurant, and the manager of that restaurant was apparently Pakistani, and he said that so much food is wasted in Saudi Arabia that if you were to give that food, you can feed the whole of Yemen with that food. That so much food is wasted in Saudi Arabia. And this is so much against the sunnah of our uh, Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All right, next hadith. Again, this is similar to what we had read before. This hadith is narrated by Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anh, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, حدثنا عبدة بن عبد الله الخزاعي قال حدثنا معاوية بن هشام عن سفيان عن مهار بن دثار عن جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنهم قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم نعم الإدام خلو. What an excellent condiment vinegar is. Next hadith, حدثنا حناد حدثنا وقيع عن سفيان عن أيوب عن أبي قلابة عن زهد جرمية قال قلنا عند أبي موسى الأشعري فأوتي بلحم دجاج فتناهى رجل من القوام فقال ما لك فقال إني رأيتها تأكل شيئا فحلفت أن لا أكلها. Sahdam al-Jarmi radiallahu anh said, we were in the presence of Abu Musa al-Ashari when he was brought some chicken meat. Dajjajin, bilahmi dajjajin, some chicken meat. A man among the people thereupon turned away. So he asked him, what is the matter? He replied, I saw it eating something impure, so I swore that I would not eat it. Abu Musa said, draw near, for I have seen Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam eating the meat of chickens. All right, before I do the tafsir of this hadith, I also want to mention something that I forgot about the benefits of vinegar that were mentioned by our teachers, that it is apparently an antidote for poison. It helps digest food. It kills bacteria within the stomach, and it is easily obtainable. So these were some of the benefits that were mentioned. And it also comes in a hadith, the mafhum of which is the house that has vinegar in it will not be struck with poverty. So this is another sunnah if you want to follow and you make the intention of following the sunnah to save yourself from poverty. We can keep synthetic vinegar with this intention and it is absolutely valid. However, both types of vinegar are okay. The vinegar that is made from dates or the vinegar that is made by human intervention, which is synthetic. All right, now going to the hadith that we had just read. Hazrat Zahdam al-Jarami radiallahu anh narrates this hadith Mubarakah that once we were in the company of Sayyidina Musa al-Ashari radiallahu anh and some chicken meat was brought to us, and there was a man in that gathering with Hazrat Musa al-Ashari. When he saw that the chicken was served, he moved back. He distanced himself from the group. So Musa al-Ashari radiallahu anh asked him, what is the matter with you and why are you moving back? And that man said that I had seen the chicken eat something. He must have seen the chicken eat something dirty. So out of adab, he's not describing what he saw the chicken eat because he did not want to put off the people who were eating it. He did not want to cause discomfort to others who were eating it. So without describing the exact details, he's saying that he saw the chicken eating something. But we can infer that it must have been something dirty. And as a result of that, he says, "Qalaqtu an la aqalahu." As a result of what I saw, I took an oath, I swear an oath that from now on, I will not eat chicken, I will not eat it. So Hazrat Musa Ashari radiallahu anh said to him, Usnu, come close. Then he continued, and this was his dalil, that I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eat chicken. So come near, come back, don't go away, because I have seen Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eat chicken meat, and he ate it without fear and anxiety. And if eating chicken was disliked or impermissible, then why did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam eat it? Why would he eat it? So come back and eat it. So Sayyidina Musa Ashari radiallahu anh is trying to indicate to the man that it is better for him, even though he took an oath, to pay the kafara of the oath because he's breaking his oath, and eat chicken because this was something that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would eat. So even though he took an oath, you can pay kafara, break that oath and eat the meat, because by eating the meat, you will be following in the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it comes in a hadith, the mafhum of which is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that none of you truly believe until his desires conforms to what I brought. So that means that none of you will be able to perfect your iman until your desires are in conformity with what I have brought. So if you don't like or desire to eat chicken, try to change your desire, make your desires conform to what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has brought. So for those who are vegetarian, this is a hadith that we can try to take inspiration from, that Hazrat Musa Ashari radiallahu anh was indicating that you can break your oath, but better for you to eat chicken and follow the footsteps of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we should try to bring our desires in conformity with the sunnah, with this intention of following the sunnah of our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All right, next hadith. وَبِهِ قَالَ حَدَّثْنَا فَضْلُ بْنُ سَهْلٍ الْأَعْرَاجُ الْبَغْدَادِيُّ قَالَ حَدَّثْنَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ بْنُ عَبْدِ الرَّحْمَنِ بْنِ مَهْدِيٍّ عن إبراهيم بن عمر بن سفينة عن أبيه عن جده رضي الله عنهم قال أقلت مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لحم هبارة. So Ibrahim ibn Umar ibn Safina, on the authority of his father, reported that his grandfather, Jaddihi, is grandfather. I ate together with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam the meat of a bustard, a hubara. This is a big bird, and if you can see the picture, if you Google it, a bustard hubara, and you will find it. And this bird, this bird flies very well. It has a long neck and a beak. And some ulama say that this hubara mentioned in this hadith refers to bater, what we call bater in Urdu. Quail, I think so is in English, the equivalent of it. So anyway, it is a wild bird with a large neck and a large beak, and that flies at a very high speed. And the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ate the meat of that bird. And the person who is narrating this hadith, Hazrat Safina radiallahu anh, he was the freed slave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Safina, the word Safina literally means a ship or a boat. And this was his title, his laqab of this Sahabi. And he was known Safina because during travels, he carried a lot of goods on his back, like a boat, like a ship which carries a lot of load. So he carried a lot of goods on his back. So that is why he got this laqab, Safina. All right, next hadith. وبه قال حدثنا محمود بن قيلان قال حدثنا أبو أحمد الزبيري وأبو نعيم قال حدثنا سفيان عن عبد الله بن عيسى رضي الله عنهم عن رجل من أهل الشام يقال له عطاء عن أبي أسيد قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كلوا الزيت وادهنوا به فإنه من شجرة مباركة. Ata bin Abi Asid radiallahu anh said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, eat olive oil and anoint with it, for it is from a blessed tree. Anoint with it means to rub it or to on your skin or to spread it. So this is the same hadith. We did hadith number 153 about Sayyidina Abu Musa al-Ashari. Zadam al-Jarami says that we were with Hazrat Abu Musa Shari and we were having a meal about that chicken meat and things, and this thing also happened at that time that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sorry, this is not the same. Sorry, just ignore what I have just said. Abdullah ibn Isa radiallahu anh narrates that a man from Ahlus Sham, from Sham, who was called Ata radiallahu anh, narrates from Abi Asid that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, eat olive oil and apply its oil on you, for it comes from a blessed tree. And eating olive oil, this relates to eating olive oil with bread. And the olive oil comes from a blessed tree, and it is of course mentioned in Surah Nur, in the verse of Surah Ayat-e-Nur, Surah, the verse of light, that Allah Ta'ala mentions about the olive tree. And this tree is blessed for several reasons. It is, first of all, it is mentioned in the Quran, and it is used as a metaphor in this Ayat-e-Nur of Surah Nur. It grows in the blessed lands of Syria and Palestine. And this is a place which is highly praised by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for it is a land that contains many barakat and khair. And there are several ahadith about Sham, the virtues of Sham, which is Syria, Palestine, and whole of that region. And it is also blessed because many Anbiya alayhi salam lived in Sham and were buried there. And in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that this is a blessed tree which is neither from the east nor from the west. And there are also medical benefits of olive. Scholars have said that it is a cure for 70 diseases, and one of them is leprosy. And not only eating olive oil is beneficial, but Hazrat Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anh said that every part of olive is beneficial. Eating it is beneficial. Olive oil is used for burning. It is used for cooking. It is also used for rubbing on the body and hair. It is used for tanning. And the wood of the olive tree is used for firewood. The ash of olive is especially good for washing silk. And it is also said that the olive tree has a very long life. It bears fruit after every 40 years, and it has a lifespan of 1,000 years. And a number of ahadiths are mentioned in the books of medicine that one should use olive oil with the niyyah that it is one of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam encourages us that we should use olive oil, eat olives, and then we must use it on ourselves to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the next hadith is also similar to the one that we read, which is narrated by Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anh. قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كلوا الزيت ودهنوا به فإنه من شجرة مباركة. So Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, eat oil and anoint with it. It is from a blessed tree. And then this hadith is reported from a different chain of narration as well, which does not mention Umar radiallahu anh. All right, now going on to hadith number 159. وَبِهِ قَالَ حَدَّثْنَا مُحَمَّدُ بْنُ بَشَّارٍ قَالَ حَدَّثْنَا مُحَمَّدُ بْنُ جَعْفَرٍ وَعَبْدُ الرَّحْمَنُ بْنُ مَهْدِيٍ قال حدثنا شعبة عن قتادة عن أنس بن مالك قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يوجبه الدباء فأوتي بطعام أو دوي له فجعلت أتتبعوه فأداؤه بين يديه لما أعلم أنه يحبه. Anas bin Malik radiallahu anh said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to admire the goat. So when he was brought a meal or invited to one, he would seek it out and set it in front of him because I knew that he liked it. And gourd is loki in Urdu we call it loki. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved loki. So this is again another. Some people call it kaddu as well in Urdu. I think so. I'm more used to calling it loki, and the English equivalent would be gourd or pumpkin. So one day some food was presented to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Ravi, the narrator of the hadith, is unsure when it was. And Hazrat Anas radiallahu anh says that he began to to look for pieces of loki in it and placed it in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because he knew that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved eating loki. All right. Let's just do one more hadith and then we'll call it a day. وبه قال حدثنا قتيبة بن سعيد قال حدثنا حفص بن قياس عن إسماعيل بن أبي خالد عن حكيم بن جابر عن أبيه رضي الله عنهم قال دخلت على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فرأيت عنده دبع يقطع فقلت ما هذا قال نقصر به طعامنا. So Hakim ibn Jabir reported that his father said, I entered the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I saw beside him a goat being carved into pieces. So I said, what is this? He said, we used it to augment our meal. So the narrator Sayyidina Jabir radiallahu anh narrates that I went to see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I saw that loki was being sliced. So I asked, why is it being sliced and what is the reason for slicing it? And they said, we increase our food with it. What does this mean? That a person can eat normal curry without loki. You can have a gravy and you don't need to add loki, and the gravy alone will suffice. But here we see that the loki is being sliced and added to the curry. And this hadith mubarakah teaches us that when we cook food, we can try to improve the food that we are cooking. We can enhance our dishes, and shows the importance of adding other vegetables to our cooking. And then at the end of this hadith, as you can see, a few lines are written which are not highlighted. Abu Isa is the name of Imam Tirmizi. This book is from Imam Tirmizi, and this is Abu Isa is the name of Imam Tirmizi, and this is a note by Imam Tirmizi radiallahu anh. So whenever you find Qala Abu Isa, it means that Imam Tirmizi rahimullah is making his statement, and it is a note from him. And the summary of this note is that he's just clarifying that Jabir here in this riwayat is just identifying that he is Jabir ibn Tariq, and he's also called Ibn Abi Tariq, and he was a Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that we do not know of any hadith that has been narrated from him except for this one. وَلَا نَعْرِفُ لَهُ إِلَّا هَذَا الْحَدِيثِ الْوَاحِدُ وَأَبُو خَالِدٍ اسْمَهُ سَعْدٌ. So we do not know of any other hadith narrated by him except from this one. So with this, we will stop here, and inshallah, we'll continue with hadith number 161 next week when we do Shamail. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك. May Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq to do amal and to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and to derive the immense blessings that are placed in following the sunnah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Jazakallah khair for listening. Inshallah, we will see you tomorrow for tafsir.